Well, obviously the mass shooting in Las Vegas is gripping the news. It's the largest mass shooting in America, and it's so confusing. As you know, ISIS has taken credit for it through their official agency. They have a news agency, ISIS does, called Amaq, taking credit for it not once but twice. Whether or not that's true remains to be seen, but it's quite confusing. But even if it's not an ISIS terrorist attack, even if it's something else, just a psychopathic episode or some personal vengeance of some sort, on any given day around the world, 50-odd people murdered in the name of a Muslim terrorist attack is pretty much par for the course. And over the course of the last few days, as the world has been digesting what happened in Las Vegas, there have been terrorist attacks from Paris to our own city of Edmonton, where 5 people were injured, including a policeman who was rammed and then stabbed and miraculously has been released from hospital. Joining us now via Skype from New York is our friend Pamela Geller, who's the editor-in-chief of the Geller Report. And Pamela's got a new book out. We'll talk about it in a couple of minutes. But Pamela, first I want to talk about the media choices. I mean, obviously a shooting in Las Vegas is of more interest to Americans than another acid attack in Marseille. Of course, because it's American. But it's almost like the media feels relieved that they can talk about violence for a brief moment that is not the cause of Islamic terrorism.
Absolutely. And if you notice, there's little attention, scant attention paid to the claims made by ISIS, who I might add, has not taken credit for events that are not theirs. People like to cite the attack in June in the Philippines on the Resort World casino, saying they took credit and it wasn't theirs. But subsequently, ties were found. There's a piece on the Geller Report, an extensive piece on the ties between Resort World in the Philippines, the casino, and the Islamic State. And they did double down. They did something they never did before. They issued an official communique after they took credit for it, and they even offered proof of some kind of knowledge of a recognizance by their quote-unquote soldier of Allah. Look, there's a lot about this attack we don't know. I agree, but to dismiss out of hand their claim is absurd on its face. The fact that there was 72 minutes of shooting speaks to an incompetence that's almost breathtaking. The idea that he had 23 weapons in his room, why 23? Did anyone help him carry this stuff up there? Did anyone enter before or after? And the brother, who they keep quoting, was estranged. They never talked. To say that this guy wasn't an avid gun fan when he had 23 weapons in the hotel room and 19 more at home and explosives, this was a ingenious act of evil, much like 9/11. It's a whole new approach to mass slaughter, and it has every earmark of a terrorist attack, except he doesn't fit the profile. But what is the profile? The profile is not age. The profile is not color. The profile is ideological. I would like very much to hear from the girlfriend who was conveniently out of the country, who is said to be Indonesian in numerous reports. Again, this is not confirmed. I'm only saying what was in the Daily Mail, what was in Business Insider, what was in Zero Hedge. Again, none of this is being investigated, nor the alleged ties to uber left-wing groups that he was an anti-Trumper, and that, again, this is all of a piece, the leftist Islamic alliance. And to your point, the Edmonton jihad, which is not being charged as a terrorist attack, or your prime minister who either posted or tweeted out after the Edmonton terrorist attack something about white supremacism.
Yeah.
And even today, the arrest of 5 jihadis in Paris, because a bomb was discovered in a very upscale building that was operational. It was hooked up to a mobile phone. It was linked up, ready for detonation. And the headline at AFP is, "Police are mystified." They're mystified as to why there was a bomb in this upscale neighborhood, that no one in the building was a target. Here, get a clue. Everyone in that building is a target. Everyone has a fatwa on their head. This is really what my book is about, that no one should be mystified. And this is the crushing failure of Western elites, media, academia and law enforcement. It's really scary because, as you can see, it's every day.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a major attack that was thwarted in Paris, and the head of they call it radical Islamist. I think that's, again, it's the West, couching around, don't want to offend. Islamist is a distinction without difference. It's Islam. It's pure Islam. No one's saying all Muslims follow it, but that's what these jihadis are following. And the leader of a radical Islamic cell was arrested, and they're mystified as to the motive. Yeah. It's like a bad joke, but we're laughing with blood.
Yeah. Well, and the stabbing at a Marseille train station while the assailant shouted Allah Akbar, if you're shouting Allah Akbar and killing infidels, there really isn't a lot of mystery about what the motives are, even if police do the full Inspector Clouseau and say they don't know what's going on. Well, let's talk about your book. I mentioned it's called Fatwa, Hunted in America, and we're showing the cover of it on the screen now. The book is officially out at the end of the month, but can you pre-order it on Amazon now?
I'm urging my supporters, my readers, my followers to please pre-order it. And the reason why I'm asking them to do that is because my book does not get into bookstores. I don't have to tell you about the censorship, the scrubbing, the silencing. Shouting into the wilderness is not freedom of speech. Talking to yourself is not freedom of speech. If I have enough of a pre-order number, then we will get into bookstores. And I do believe that it is the responsibility of anyone that follows this work to support those of us who do it and the publishers who will publish. It took 7 years to get this book published. It is a labor of love against the forces of hate. It's my story. It's a personal book. It's how I went from, New York City glam girl, associate publisher of the New York Observer, who loved her fashion and, her art, her music, and became the most notorious racist, Islamophobic, anti-Muslim bigot in the country and strictly because I stood in defense of freedom. So this is how I became who I am. It's what happened to me. It's what will happen to you if you take a stand in defense of freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, individual rights, and equality for all before the law, and how you can handle it. And I think it's a critical book. I urge everyone to pre-order it. If you read books, get my book, because no one has told my story. It's a story that needs to be told because it's not necessarily my story. It's every man. It's every person who dares stand up against this leftist Islamic alliance, this red-green alliance. And I started this work after 9/11, and I can tell you that everything that I predicted and warned of came true. And it's critical that people understand the problem, and you don't get headlines from the AFP, police are mystified. Yeah. Mystified. Yeah. It's the last thing you should be, and that's why it's Fatwa, Hunted in America. You can go to fatwabook.org or fatwabook.us, and I strongly urge your listeners, your viewers, your followers to order this book. You will not be bored for a second.
I think that's true. Anyone who knows you, Pamela Geller, knows that we would never be bored by anything you say or do. I will order the book. I went on Amazon just to make sure it was there, and I see it's already around 300 and something in the rankings of the millions of books on Amazon. So I think a lot of people are interested. It's already in the top few hundred, and the book isn't even out yet. So I think that's a very encouraging sign. Listen, you keep up the fight and you stay safe. I know you've been personally the target of a terrorist attack in Garland, Texas. And so we're happy and lucky every time we talk to you, and we hope that you remain safe in your battle.
Thank you so much. And, just as a quick aside, no one's talking about the beheading trial that's going on right now in Boston, the plot to behead me. The head of the jihad cell is on trial. This is news that no one talks about. Oh, and by the way, I just found this out and didn't know. There was an FBI informant in on that plot, just like in Garland, and they did nothing. Very disturbing. That's why I strongly urge your viewers to get my book. Thank you so much, Ezra, for everything you do.
Well, Pamela, and we thank you. And I tell you, you're so productive between your website, your book, the movie, Can't We Talk About This, that we had you on last time. Keep up the fight down there, okay?
Bless you. Thank you.
All right, that's Pamela Geller, the editor-in-chief of the Geller Report, author of the new book, Fatwa, Hunted in America, that you can pre-order now on Amazon. Hey, if you like that, sign up for my show every day. Click on the screen to subscribe.